Okay, good evening, everyone. As we are ready to say good Erev Shabbos already, very special Shabbos Mavorch and Elul, as we welcome in Saba, Eddie Chazan, Baruch Ian, Mel Zachter, Ben-Zion Cohn, Nachman Chapler. We're delighted to say that Nachman is back home in Fairways. Nachman, we're so happy about that. We're so happy that Nachman doesn't need a spinal surgery, and Nachman, you should get better and better. Pain-free existence. Menachem Yemansky, Harrison Kletzel, Irving Fishbaum, Reuven Pollack, Shimon Klein, Dr. Guy, Michal, Yisrael Fisher, Richard Rosenzweig, Avram Shankman, Moshe Lehman, Barish Gesseman, Yitzi Muller, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Ilya Shitten, Abe Arbach, David Helfgott, on Kololoshin. We just entering in Stephen Holtzman, and is David Helfgott, good. Aaron Swade is joining us. Let's see, we got one more over here. Let's see who this is. Is that Shimon Deer? I'm not sure. Who is that in the car? Shimon?
Ben-Zion.
Oh, Ben-Zion, how are you?
Baruch Hashem.
Good to have you.
Referred by Stephen.
Good to have you. A royal welcome. Okay, Rabbi say we are holding on this wonderful evening. We are holding on the Pei Amid Beis towards the bottom. We are holding by Ibaylahu, which is 7 lines from the bottom of Daf Pei Amid Beis, as we welcome in Dr. Black, who gets in under the wire over here. I see that Aaron Swade is having some problems. No, not Aaron, this is Yisrael Fisher, who's having problems tuning in. Aaron Swade also is having problems getting in. So, anyway.
Rabbi,
yeah.
Could it be learn Lil Nishmas, my grandfather, have you on site tonight, Yechiel Mechel Ben Yosef Halevi?
Yechiel Mechel Ben Yosef Halevi, his neshama should have a big aliyah, and of course we're sponsored by A.B. Spry, that all children should get into yeshiva quickly and easily, by Baruch Ian, Lili Nishmas Esther Bas Yona, Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKayin, the neshama should have an aliyah. I want to ask everybody to please have in mind someone, one of my Talmidim, who has always helped me in my shiurim, is Betzalel Klein. His father is not feeling well, and we want to have him in mind. Meir Ben Chayesara. Meir Ben Chayesara is in a lot of pain, is not feeling well, so we want to have him in mind. Dr. Black, welcome. Aaron Swade, welcome. Abe Arbach, welcome. As we have over here now 28 Zoomers on this early evening. We'll learn also for Marshall Castle's brother Mordechai Ben Sari Yehudis. Marshall has not been on. He's in the middle of Sheva Brachos for his son. So we wish them a mazel tov as well. Now, Libayalu. If you remember, we had a machlokes whether you need your dayim achichos or not. In other words, could you just say Hariyat Muteris L'Kol Adam in a get, or since there is some ambiguity that maybe you're divorcing her with the Amira and the get is only a Raya Ba'alma, only a document of proof, so Rabbi Yehuda says that you have to say V'dein Dihavi Lichi Minoi, and this, that the instrument, the get, is the Geresh Shivukin, is the get piturin, it is the vehicle of the divorce. So, do you need to dot the I's and cross the T's? Tajma, the asking Rava Begite, Rava instituted in a get, to write Eich Ploni Bar Plonya, how, Chatzkel, the son of Shmerel, Potter V'Torechios Plonisa Inse, he frees and severs Sprinza, his wife, The Avos into say min Adam Danah, who was his wife from before this, Miyuma Danan Ula Olam, from this day and always. But you see, it doesn't say Dain. V'ilu Dain loy ka'amar. Says the Gemara, but it's not an exhaustive list. Ula Tameh Kulu Mikama, did he say everything? He didn't say the name of his town, the name of her town. Elaba Inan, it could be that you have to say, since you have to say the town, Hakanami Ba'inan, you also have to say the Dain, so it's no proof. Now, from the fact that he said Miyuma Danan, from this day, Lafuke mid Rabbi Yaisi, this comes to exclude Rabbi Yaisi. Rabbi Yaisi holds that if the person is dying, you don't have to write Mei Achshav, otherwise there is a worry that maybe he meant that it should be a get after his death, and then that's no good, because then get Lachamisa, so many hold that you have to write Mei Achshav from now, but Rabbi Yaisi says that's not necessary. The Fukim of Rabbi Yaisi, Damas Manashil Shtar Machirkolov, the date on the Shtar shows that you want it from the time of the date. So he says, no, you have to specify Miyama Denan, from this day. Ula Olam, and forever, that's Lafuke as we start the top of Peivavam and Aleph, Lafuke Midiboy Minei Rava Rav Nachman, from that which Rava asked Rav Nachman, the Amar Hayomi at Ishti, if he says, today you're my wife, and Lamacher at Hayomi at Ishti, today you're not my wife, but Lamacher at Ishti, but tomorrow you are my wife, is such a get good. So he says, in order to exclude that later on she should be back my wife, he says, Ula Olam, forever. Now, even though Rava himself said that if you say from today you're not my wife, tomorrow you are, it's still a good get, because once you sever, you sever. You can't take her back without a fresh Kedushin, but Rava says, L'chatchila, you should dot the I's and cross the T's and say that forever you are my wife. You are severed. Gufa shall get shikhr, the core of a writ of emancipation, is hari'at baskairin, you are free, or hari'at la'atzmika, you are for yourself. Askin Rabbi Yehuda b'shtar zvine de avdei, Rabbi Yehuda instituted in the document of sale of avodim, avda denan, this servant that is before us, mutztak la'avdai. He is a glad kosher eved. In other words, he is surely a slave. No, there's no question of that he's a free man. Upatir va'atir min cherurei, and he is completely separated and removed from any question that he's free. Uminilule, there's no tinus on him. Nobody has any claims on him. Uminerure malko malkasa, and there's no question that the king or the queen has only claimed that he's indentured into royal service. And I guarantee urishumde inishloi is alohi, and nobody has their emblem. Certain households had an emblem. Nobody's emblem is upon him. He's certainly my slave. Umenuka mikol mon, he's free from any blemish. Umin shchum, and from any boil, the nafik at titzar, that would tend to reappear until 2 years from now. Chadis va'atik, whether you could claim whether I could claim it's a new one or an old one. It seems to be that there were boils that would be recurring boils, and they would come back up to 2 years. So he says, I guarantee you he has no recurring boils, and if a boil comes, I'll give you your money back, even if it's a new one. In other words, that he shouldn't claim that, that's a new one, that's not a recurring boil. Now, Maya Asvose, the Gemara says, incidentally, what's the cure of such a boil? Maya Asvose, what's the cure of such a boil? If a person has these recurring boils, I'm sorry, Aaron, that you're having so much trouble getting on. As we welcome back in again, Aaron Swade. The Gemara says, what's the cure of such boils? Says the Gemara, Amar Abaya ginbara, some ginger, Omar Ticha, that's the refuse of silver, kavrisa, sulfur, v'challah the chamra, wine vinegar, mishka de zaysa, olive oil, v'natpik chivra, and white naphtha. And how do you apply it on the boil? B'shayfala, you apply it begat for the avza with the wing or a feather of a goose. Now this is the next Mishnah is a Mishnah that's mentioned many places in Shas. Shloisha Gittin Psulin. There are 3 Gittin that are disqualified, but b'di'evid, if she marries with such a get a second person, v'imnises, if she marries with this get another man and has a child, avlad kosher, the child is kosher, the child is not a mamzer. What the Mishnah is ambiguous about is the Mishnah is ambiguous about whether she has to leave her second marriage. It just says that if she had a child, then the child is not a mamzer. But does she have to leave the second marriage? That's going to be discussed and debated in the Gemara. What are the 3 such gittin? Kosav b'ksav yadai. It's in his handwriting. It's in his John Doe. It's in his handwriting. But ve'ein alav edim, there's no witnesses. Yesh alav edim, there are witnesses, but ein b'izman, it doesn't have a date. Yesh b'izman, it has a date, but ve'ein b'yela eid echad, is only one witness on it. Now we'll see who's the other witness. That's also going to be discussed in the Mishnah. Is it the handwriting of the husband? And it's telling you not only is it only b'di'evet if it's just the handwriting, but even just the handwriting of one witness is also only b'di'evet. Or is it one witness and the handwriting of a expert cipher? So we're going to discuss that as we welcome in Mo Kushner, who's joining us, and Aaron Swade, who's valiantly trying to come on. So Hari Elu Shloisha Gittin Psulim, these are 3 Gittin Psulim, V'imnises, but if she remarries with such a get, then Havlad, the child from the second husband, is kosher and not a mamzer. The Gemara is going to ask, why do you have to repeat that? You already said that in the Reisha. Now here we have the famous Pshita of Rabbi Lazar. We know that Rameir says that Eidei Chasima Karsei, that it's the witnesses that sign on the get that sever the relationship, but Rabbi Lazar says no. Rabbi Lazar, Aimer Afal Pisha Eino Lav Edim, even if there's no witnesses signed on the get, Ela Shenisan Lav Ifnei Edim Kosher, just that she gave it to him. He gave it to her in front of 2 kosher Edim. He gave it to him in front of 2 kosher Edim, which is called Edei Mesira. Such a get is kosher. And not only that, but if it's a document of a purchase, and it doesn't have signatures signed in the body of the shtar, but there are signatures that witness the delivery of the document, that's enough that there should be a curl, that there should be able to do a title search, and the one who's holding the shtar could collect even from mortgaged properties. For Rabbi Lazar says, maybe lift it a little bit. She'eino edim chaismin ala get, because witnesses only sign on a get element ne'tikun ha'olam. Because we're worried, let's say the husband comes and claims it's a forgery, and you can't find the Edei Mesira. If there's a signature on the get, witness is signed, so then Bezdin could confirm it with other people that recognize their signatures, or with an archived shtar in Bezdin. Says the Gemara Suleka, is there no other such quasi get that's not lechatchila but b'diavad the child won't be mamzer? V'ika get yashin, where the husband wrote a get and then was alone with her after the get, and then he gives her such a get. Says Gemara Hasam loy teitzei. There, if such a get was given, she doesn't even have to leave the second husband. Here, with these three questionable gittin, she does have to leave the second husband, just that the children are not mamzerim. Now, if you remember, I told you that's an ambiguity. That's good according to the Mandiyama that says that in our Mishnah with such a weak get, she has to leave the second husband. That's good. But over here, according to Mandiyama, that says that she doesn't have to leave, just like the children aren't mamzerim, she doesn't have to leave the second husband. Why doesn't it include get yashin? Because over there, if it's a get yashin, if it's given to her already, she could marry lechatchila. Over here, with such a weak get, if they realize it's a weak get, she can't marry lechatchila. He has to give her another get. Says the Gemara, he could get kerech. There's the bald get. Remember, we said because kohanim are quarrelsome, amcha kamrive kayin, and if they give a get in haste, there's no backsies. He'll never be able to take her back because he's also to take a divorced woman, even his own wife. So because of that, because of that issue, we say that we make the get given to a kohen a hard get. It has to have you write a little bit, then you fold it over, sew it, sign it by one witness. Write a little bit more, fold it over again, sign it by another witness. It has to have at least 3 folds and 3 signatures. We said that as many folds that it has, that's how many signatures that it has. So a get that has 6 folds and only 5 signatures is a get kerech, a bald get. Now the Gemara thinks over here that a bald get, if she does remarry with a bald get, then the children are kosher. Says, well, no, hasam avlad mamzer. There the children are mamzer, because if you do it with 6 folds and 5 signatures, that's mishanim and matbeya shetavu chacham begitin. That's changing the way that chacham instituted a get of a kohen, and the child's are mamzer. Over here, with these 3 weak gitin, avlad kosher. So the Gemara says, Haniklu Rameir, that says that a get kerech to Vlad will be a mamzer. Whoever deviates from the formula of Gittin, not Vlad mamzer. El Rabbanan, but according to the Rabbanan, Ma'i Kalameima, says the Gemara, well, Hasam Teitze. By the bald get, she has to leave her second husband. Hacha, in our Mishnah, not only is the Vlad not a mamzer, but Lei Teitze. Says the Gemara, but according to the Mandiyama over here, that she has to leave her second husband with these 3 weak Gittin, it's only that the child is not a mamzer, Ma'i Kalameima. Says the Gemara, you know what? We'll answer, but Mekusha like Kamairi, the Mishnah is talking about a regular get. It's not talking about the specialized get of a kohen, a get Mekusha. Says the Gemara, but the Malchus is the clause that you have to put in the year of the reigning king for Shalom Malchus. So the Gemara says, yeah, Hasam, if you leave out Shalom Malchus, if you leave out the reign of the king, Teitze, you have to leave your second husband. With these weak Gittin, you don't have to leave the second husband. So the Gemara says, that's good according to Mandiyama, that over here, by the 3 Gittin, you don't have to leave the second husband. Says the Gemara, Hasam, if you leave out the year of the reigning king, Avlad Mamzer. Because as the Gemara is going to say, it's going according to Rameir, that if you Meshanim and Matbeya Shetavu Chacham beget, the Vlad is a Mamzer. Hacha Avlad Kosh. So the Gemara says, oh, that would mean that the Mishnah has to be going according to Rameir. Ha Nichel Rameir, El Rabbanon Ma'ikel Rameir. Says the Gemara, so we'll say our Mishnah is going according to Rameir. Mukam Lokad Rameir. And there, if you leave out the year of the reigning king, you change from the way of Matbeya of Gittin, the child's a mamzer. Hacha, but over here, if she gets married with one of these 3 weak Gittin, Havlad Kosh. We welcome in Nathan Goldman, who's joining us on Facebook. Yehuda from Yerushalayim, who is joining us. And again, Aaron Swade, who is valiantly trying to get the Wi-Fi to work, says the Gemara, remember we said these are 3 Gittin that are puzzle, but if she marries, the child is not a mom, his child is kosher. It says that in the Reisha, and it says it in the Sefer. So minyana de Reisha lemute mai, the number in the Reisha, what is it coming to exclude? Or minyana de Sefer lemute mai, and the minyana and the Sefer, it says it twice, 3 Gittin. What is that coming to include? To exclude. So minyana de Reisha lemute hani darman. The number in the Reisha comes to exclude all the cases that we enumerated: a get yashin, a bald get, and a get that doesn't have shloi malchus, the reign of the king. Minyana de Sefer lemute hadisanya. The number in the Sefer comes to exclude that which we learned in the Brisa. Maybe get mimdina siyam. Remember, we learned in the whole first parak, the whole sugya until Dav Vav, of that if you bring a get from overseas, the shliach has to say b'fanei nichtav b'fanei nechtav. In front of me it was written, and in front of me it was signed. So maybe get mimdina siyam. The son-in-law, if he gives it to her, v'loy amar b'fanei nichtav b'fanei nechtav, yoytzi v'avlad mamzer. She has to leave the new husband, and the child is a mamzer divrei meir. The Chachamim say, Ein avlad mamzer, the child is not a mamzer. Rather, Kate said, Yasa, what should you do? You take it back from her, and the shliach gives it to her again in front of 2 people. Now, since we said that our Mishnah is like Reb Meir, so it's consistent that only these 3, the child is kosher, but if the shliach leaves out the formula b'fanei nechtam, the child will be a mamzer. Okay, now we're going to start to understand the cases in the Mishnah. Kasa b'ksav yodai, if it's in his handwriting, ve'eino lav eidim, but there are no witnesses. Amar Rav, so Rav says ksav yodai shaninu. It means his handwriting. So the Gemara says, duh, that's what it says. Kasa b'ksav yodai. Ahai, Ilay ma reisha. I don't need Rav to tell me that. That's what it says in the Mishnah. Pshita, ksav yodai ketani. It says if it's his handwriting. Ve'ela amitziyasa, the middle case where there's witnesses and there's no date. So then the Gemara says it can't be going on the middle case either. Hariyeshul of Adam, it has witnesses. It doesn't have to be in his handwriting. Ela Seifa, where it says Yesh B'Izman ve'ein bo ela eid echad, where it says that there's a date, but there's only one witness. So how can it be good with only one witness? So Rav says, and it's also in his handwriting. V'dafka ksav yodai ve'eid echad. Aval ksav cipher ve'eid, but if it's the handwriting of the cipher and a witness, look. Now you'll say, so why do I need it to say his handwriting and an aid? We said his handwriting alone is good. But it's telling you that even his handwriting and an aid is still only that the child is not a mamzer. But it's not good l'chatchila. Shmuel says no, it doesn't have to be his handwriting in 1/8. It could be the cipher's handwriting in 1/8. V'Shmuel Amar afilu ksav cipher ve'eid. Shari Shanina we learn ksav cipher ve'eid kosher. If it's the handwriting of the cipher and 1/8, it's good. V'Rav, and Rav says, mi dami, what's the comparison? Hasam tinasei l'chatchila. Over there, where it's there with the signature of the cipher and an aid, tinasei l'chatchila. She could get married even l'chatchila. Hacha, where it's his handwriting and an aid, it's only good di'evet. V'Shmuel, and Shmuel says, that which we say, that if there's a cipher, it could be even l'chatchila, like kasha. Ha b'safra demuvik, one is with an expert cipher, and an expert cipher certainly would not write the get unless he was commissioned to give that get. If one is not an expert cipher, So there, she cannot get married l'chatchila. V'chein amar Reb Yochanan amalei Reb Elazar. V'chein amar Reb Yochanan, and so did Reb Yochanan say, ksav yodai shaninu. When it says in Eidah, ksav yodai, it means the ksav yad of the husband. Amalei Reb Elazar. So again, Reb Elazar questioned what case is Reb Yochanan going on. If he's going on the case of two Eidim and it doesn't have a date, why does it need his handwriting? Hayeshel of Eidim. Amalei Aseifa. He says it's going on the Seifa where it says Eid Echad, it means Eid Echad in his handwriting. Now Zimnin Amar Rav, sometimes Rav said Teitzei, that in the cases of our Mishnah, it's only that if she has a child from the second husband, the child is kosher, but she does have to leave the second husband. Zimnan Amarav loy teitze. And sometimes Rav said she doesn't have to leave the second husband. Ha keitzad. It's not that Rav was being wishy-washy, chas v'shalom. Yesh labanim, if she has children from the second husband, loy teitze. Because if she would have to leave the second husband, that would cast aspersions on the children that they're mamzerim. Ein labanim, but if she doesn't have children, then teitze, then she should leave the second husband. So Marzut Bar Tuvia wonders about the psak of Rav that loy teitze. The kulan shaya ben safek kedushin or safek gerushin. In all situations where there's a safek of kedushin or a safek of divorce, hare elu choltzais v'loy misyabmais. If she dies, if her husband dies after a questionable kedushin or a questionable divorce, so we're not sure when he died was she married. So from her husband's brother, where he died childless, from her husband's brother, she gets chalitza but not yibam. She needs chalitza because maybe it was a good kedushin, or maybe it wasn't a good get, but she can't do yibam because of the other possibility. Now, case said safek kedushin. What's an example of a safek kedushin? Zarek la kedushin, where he threw her kedushin, and there's a question, safek karav law, safek karav lay. It's a question of whether the kedushin was closer to her and she's mekudeshes, or whether it remained closer to him and she didn't get the money and she's not mekudeshes. So that was safek kedushin. That's a doubtful kedushin. As we welcome in Yisrael Kramer joining us in progress, and Rebbe Yisrael, we are holding on Daf Pei Vav Amid Beis, and we are holding 2 lines, the last word, 2 lines into the wide lines on Pei Vav Amid Beis. I'm just getting nicely underway over here. On a Thursday evening, I should tell you that again this evening holds a surprise, because after the shir, I will be doing the small segment known as For the Shabbos Table. So you can join me for that as well. It is a celebration. This shir is a happy celebration that Nachman Chapler is home. I'm really Nachman, I'm thrilled that you're back at home in Fairways. We're going to celebrate with a segment for the Shabbos Table right after this shir. But anyway, so the Gemara says, now what's an example of safek gerushin? Safek gerushin is kasav ksav yadai, written in his handwriting, ve'en alav eidim. The 3 cases in our Mishnah, yesh alav eidim ve'en b'izman, there's no date, or yesh b'izman ve'en b'yela eid echad, only 1 eid. Harizeh safek gerushin. Now, if you say that the opinion of Rav is lenient, that in the case of the Mishnah, she doesn't have to leave her husband, if you say that she doesn't have to leave her husband, so then the co-wife, since she sees he doesn't have to leave the husband, the co-wife will think, oh, she's a regular wife, and then the co-wife might come to do yibam. Now, Now, if the get was, if the get from the first husband was definitely a good get, then she's not a tsaras erva. If the get from the first husband was not a good get, then she's living in sin. Of course, unwitting sin, but in sin, and then she would be a tsaras erva, and she would be patam and a chalitza and a yiba. But if she sees that you allow her to stay with the husband, so she'll assume that she's a regular co-wife, and she'll be miyabim. So tzarasa asili ribube. Says Gemara, tisyabim, let her be miyabim. It's on the fact that we would say that it's a weak get. It's chashash d'Rabbanan he. It's only a chashash d'Rabbanan. But if she's miyabim, it's no problem. Levi Amar la'olam lo teitze. With these 3 week gittin, she never leaves her husband. V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan la'olam lo teitze. V'chein Amar lahu Rabbi Yochanan lebnei Rabbi Kalafta. And so did Rabbi Yochanan say to, there's a Shaila Begirsa over here. V'chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan, v'chein Amar lahu Rabbi Yochanan lebnei Rav Kalafta de Minhuna. This is interesting. And so did Rabbi Yochanan say to the children of Rav Kalafta from the town of Huna. Huna over here is not a name, then it would be Rav Kalafta ben Huma. This is Rav Kalafta de Minhuna. Hachi Amar Avuchan, so did your father, the Heilige Rav Kalafta, say, Lo'ilam lo'teitze. With these 3 week gittin, not only is the children kosher from the second husband, she doesn't leave the second husband, and your father said another interesting halacha. Now this is really from left field. I'm talking about from left field over here. When we know that the meichatis, the water of lustration, that we use, that's mixed with the ashes of the paraduma, to use to be sprinkled on a tamei mace on the 3rd and the 7th day, in order that he should be purified, has a condition that it has to be water that was never used for anything else. And therefore, if a bird drinks from it, it disqualifies the water, because the bird, when it drinks, dribbles. And it drinks and water falls back in. Since that water was used for something, it disqualifies the meichatis. But there is a certain fly that's called a kartzis, that Rav Kalafta said if this fly drinks from the water, it doesn't disqualify the water because it only sucks and it doesn't dribble. You see how exact our Messiah is. It's unbelievable. Says the Gemara, your father also said that the kartzis sheba omer, that the fly, the big flies that fly around amongst the crops, Eina peiselis b'meichatis, does not disqualify meichatis because it doesn't dribble. My kartzis, what's a kartzis? Amar Abaya didvosa debene kipe. It's a fly that flies around amongst the pile of the crops. All birds disqualify the meichatis because they dribble, except for the dove, but if the kartzis is also an exception, says the Gemara, that's because like psika, it's not definitive, because not all kartzis suck. The gedolah pasal, a mature kartzis will not dribble, but a ketana pasal, a small fly will dribble. You have to know the size of the fly. When you ask the Rab the Shaila, you have to know the size of the fly. Ad kama, how large, how small is it that it disqualifies? Rabbi Yomi same Rabami ad kizayis, up to the size of an olive. Once the fly is the size of an olive, that's already a big fly. Then that fly does not dribble, it sucks, and it will not disqualify the meichatis. Rabbi Lazar Aimer, Afal Pi, even if there are no witnesses signed on the get, there's just Eidei Mesira, there's just witnesses of delivery, the get is good. Rabbi Yudam Rav halach to Rabbi Lazar begitin. The halacha is like Rabbi Lazar by Gittin. Ki Amrisa Kamei de Shmuel, when he said this before Shmuel, Amar Af Bishtaris. Also by Ishtar, if there's only Eidei Mesira, you could collect from the Chasim Shabbatim. So the Gemara says, it seems to be that Rav is questioning whether Rabbi Lazar holds by Ishtaris. For Rav Sava Bishtaris Loi, HaKetani, it says that Rabbi Lazar said, that even by business documents, you could collect from mortgage property with Eidei Mesira. So the Gemara says, no, Rav is not debating what Rabbi Lazar's opinion is. Rabbi Lazar Tarte Amar. Rabbi Lazar said Eidei Mesira is good both by get and by shtaris. But Rav Sava Kavasi B'chada, he holds like him by get, or Polagalei B'chada. Okay, Am Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, Am Rabbi Shimon Levi, Halacha Rabbi Lazar Begittin. The halacha is like Rabbi Lazar, Eidei Mesira is good without signatures on the document by get. Rabbi Yanai says, Rabbi Yanai holds emphatically like Rabbi Meir, that without two witnesses a get is not good, because he learns because of line the Torah means the signatures. And Rabbi Yanai Amar, if there's no witnesses, afilu reach haget ein ba. It doesn't even have the scent of a get. It doesn't even disqualify the woman from a kayin. Says Gemara, Rabbi Yanai leslei de Rabbi Lazar. No, it's not that Rabbi Yanai doesn't pass like Rabbi Lazar. Hachi kama l'Rabbanan, the Rabbanan that quarrel on Rabbi Lazar, namely Rabbi Meir, afilu reach haget ein ba. V'chein am Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina am Rabbi Shlakish, halach Rabbi Lazar begittin. The halacha is like Rabbi Lazar begittin. Rabbi Yochanan am afilu reach haget ein ba. So the Gemara says, does that mean that the great Rabbi Yochanan doesn't pass in Eidei Mesira? Can I say? Lema Rabbi Yochanan, let's say to Rabbi Lazar. So he says, no, again, Rabbi Yochanan is just explaining the opposition party. Hachi kama Rabbanan, according to Rabbanan, afilu reach haget ein ba, without the signatures, it doesn't even have the scent of a get, and she's not disqualified to a kain. Sholach le Rav Abba bar Zavda l'Mori bar Mar. Boi minei Rav Huna. Rav Abba bar Zavda sent to Mori bar Mar the following mission. Sometimes people want to know. Somebody sends to Eretz Yisrael and says, please find out from Rav Sternbach what the law is. Right? So here, Rav Abba bar Zavda sent to Mori bar Mar, boy minei Rav Huna, go inquire from Rav Huna, halacha Rabbi Lazar begittin or ain't halacha? Or is the halacha not that way? Rav Sternbach should live till 120, but what happened with Rav Huna? Adahachi, by the time Mori bar Mar reached Rav Huna, noch nafshei de Rav Huna. Rav Huna passed away. So Amalei Rabba Brei, but he was informed by Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, Hachi Amar Abba Mishmei de Rava, so did my father say in the name of Rava, Halacha Rabbi Lazar begittin. V'Rabbi Seinu Abakiyim b'dvar halacha, and our rabbis who were expert in dvar halacha, this is referring to Rav Chisda, said Mishum Rabbeinu Amru, said in the name of Rav, Halacha Rabbi Lazar begittin. Amar Rav Chaim bar Guya Amar Rav, Halacha Rabbi Lazar begittin. Halacha is like Rabbi Lazar begittin. In this case, it was the Rabbi Seinu was Rav Chama bar Guya. Iked Amrei v'chavreinu, our colleague, this is Rav Chisda, v'chavreinu, our colleague, habekim b'dvar halacha, v'talmidei Rabbeinu mishum Rabbeinu amru, and the disciples of our master said in the name of our master, halach Rabbi Lazar begittin. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rav Chama bar Guya, Amar Rav, for Rav Chisda said in the name of Rav Chama bar Guya, in the name of Rav. So that was our colleague, who was a Talmud of Rav, said, Halak Rabbi Lazar begittin, v'chein ki asa Ravin, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rav. When Ravin arrived, he said in the name of Rabbi Lazar, said in the name of Rav, Halak Rabbi Lazar begittin. Halacha is that even if there's no witnesses signed on the get, but there are witnesses that witness the delivery of the get is kosher. Now here, the next Mishnah tells us very, very logical halachas that we could figure out with our own logic. Shnayim shesholchu shnei Gittin Shabbat. Here we have Chatzkel was married to Sarah, and they were both from the town of Shnipashak. And another Chatzkel was married to Sarah, the town of Shnipashak. And both of them gave to Nachman the Gittin to deliver to their wives. Now Nachman mixed up the Gittin. He has to give the get from Chatzkel 1 to Sarah 1, and the get from Chatzkel 2 to Sarah 2. But he mixed up the Gittin. So says the Gemara v'nis'arvu, if he mixed them up, don't lose hope. Nachman gives both Gittin to Sarah 1, and then he gives both Gittin to Sarah 2. That's all. Nis'arvu, Meisin Shneim Lezu, he gives both Gittin to Sarah 1, or Shneim Lezu. If he loses one of the Gittin, they're both up the creek without a paddle. Lefikach avad echad mehem. If he loses one of them, hari hasheni batel. The second one is of no use because he doesn't know to which Sarah he's supposed to give it to. Now, what about this following case? Chamisha shekosvu klal b'soich haget. They were cheap on paper. So Chatzkel wants to divorce Sarah, and Shmuel wants to divorce Chaya, and Larry wants to divorce Kathy, and Mike wants to divorce Mindy, and Chuni wants to divorce Spinzer. So they write that all on the top of the get, all from the town of Shnipashak. And then they want to divorce their wives in plural, and witnesses signed it. So Chamisha shekas with klal b'seicha get, each plain megash plainness, a plainness, and v'edem ilmata, and the witnesses signed below, kulan kashevet, the get is kosher for all of them, and you have to give the get to all 5 women. V'yanasin l'kolachas v'achas, you got to give it to Kathy, you got to give it to Mindy, you got to give it to Spinzer. But if you have one long scroll, and you have 5 boilerplate divorces. It says v'dein de'avilichi minoi from Chaim to Spinzer, and then another boilerplate, and this is from Mike to Kathy, and another boilerplate, and then the witnesses sign all the way on the bottom of the 5th boilerplate, then only the 5th one is a kosher get. Because it's only mukach that witnesses signed on the bottom of the last one. And that's what the Mishnah says. If there was on one large scroll 5 separate gittin, and witnesses sign all the way on the bottom, only the one that the witnesses are written with is kosher. Only the bottom one, and that's it. So the Gemara says, remember we said when Nachman loses one of the gittin, where Nachman had both gittin, he could give each one, he could give both gittin to one Sarah, and then both gittin to the other Sarah. Which means even though the witnesses don't know to which one the get is to which one is the right get. So Mantan Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah Doloi Rabbi Elazar. The Ikar Rabbi Elazar Kavan Amar Edi Mesirakar say the witnesses that see it don't know which one is the right get. Holo Yodei behind me now Kamigrisha. So Abaye says no. Who says that he has to know which one? He knows that the right one was given. You don't know which one? Delivery doesn't have to be lishma. Says the Gemara, "V'ayam afilu temin Rabbi Lazar, ema de boy Rabbi Lazar ksiva lishma." The get has to be written specifically. Nesino lishma boy. We don't have to know which one is for. We know one of them is for. We don't have to know which one is for. Okay, now. There, by the way, for those people, somebody who might have to, because of special reasons, leave us, so you should know that Daf Yomi Motzi Shabbos is at 10:15. We want to remind you, we're really coming down the finish line of Masechtas Gittin. Monday night is the Siyum, and we really expect everybody in Fairways to come. And Reb Kramer, I hope you're going to come Monday night. We want to be mechazik the olam and get them excited to start, which is the main thing. Tuesday night, Kiddushin, you should be an ambassador and bring a friend for Kiddushin Daf Beis, Tuesday night, zoomdaf.com. Probably it's going to be start time at 8:30.